Welcome, friends, to Reality Test. What is reality testing, you may ask? Well, it's something we all do every day, maybe with our loved ones over dinner, with coworkers at the water cooler, etc., when we check our subjective or personal emotions, thoughts, and so forth against objective or sort of more agreed upon fact-based reality. Although, because Dr. Ray and I, Dr. Kay, are social constructionists, we don't actually believe there's one true objective reality, but rather our own personal versions of it constructed in the context of relationships. But you get the idea. So here in Reality Test, we're going to be testing the castmate realities and the producer antics of our favorite reality TV shows against what we know as licensed psychologists about the reality out here, off of our TVs. We hope you'll join us as we attempt to reality test. That's it. Thanks, y'all. Now check out our campy theme song.
Are you feeling stressed? Your head's all messed? Well, let's forget all the rest. Fuck it, we're blessed, because it's time to talk reality test. Come with us. Let's reality test.
Welcome to Reality Test. I'm Dr. Ray.
And I'm Dr. Kay. Feel free to check in and take a seat wherever you like for part 2 of White Lotus finale.
That we are doing it. I almost called our podcast Reality Check, which is what we meant to call it a while. It was wild. What a throwback.
I know, right? It's true. That is what, and that, you know what also is that is why that's our email handle, is Reality Check Podding. So it's easy to make that mistake now because we also say that every episode to say our email handle. But we looked it up and it turned out so many people use Reality Check. It's just a very common thing. So, you know, it's not really associated with therapy, it turns out, whereas Reality Test really is. So we pivoted.
Yes. We test reality all the time as therapists, including our own when things get weird, as they are now, which is why I'm so grateful for Dr. Kay, who helps me to reality test in these trying times.
Same. Yep, that's very important. It is kind of funny that we like reality test up to starting our podcast Reality Test. That's nice.
We really do. We usually gossip both about reality TV and about our day jobs. And yeah, there's just a lot going on and about the world at large. And there's just a lot going on.
Important. Exactly. Women's talk is very important for both reality testing and also because we care about relationships. So talking about people that we know is important because we can also help take care of ourselves, each other, and those people if they're people we should be taking care of, you know, or protecting ourselves from. And that's good to know too.
And Dr. Kay is on an event circuit and is throwing these lovely events week after week. And Thank you. We should all collectively send her lots of love because she's doing a lot right now and kicking ass and taking names, if you ask me.
That's very sweet. No, we definitely both are. It's a tough time of semester here. So we're nearing the end, which is good. We'll soon be in May break and just living life again, like whole humans. And your wedding will be then, and we'll just be a whole human at your wedding, and that'll be a delight.
I actually do think my wedding's going to be fun. I don't know why I think that. I mean, if we could make a sober event fun, I think we can make a wedding fun. Like that was actually kind of fun.
Hell yeah.
I'm feeling confident. Hopefully not cocky, but I am feeling like we're going to have a good time.
You're feeling appropriately confident. It's going to be a delight. You've done a beautiful job already. That'll be a fun after party. So we're going to have a great time. I'm excited. You're going to look beautiful. Love your dress. It's going to be a delight.
Oh, thank you, my love. I'm sure you will look beautiful yourself.
Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll come in like sweatpants.
Surprise
everybody. Yeah.
I support you. I support you 100%.
I know. You really would too. That's nice. No, I'll wear something half decent at least. We'll see what we feel like. It's going to be just nice to have nice weather. Have you seen that it's getting nice again soon? We have warm weather the next few days. I cannot wait.
Thank fucking God. I've about had it with this.
Had it. All the way had it. Especially watching White Lotus. They're like in Thailand. It looks so fucking nice. And then we're like looking outside like, oh, hi.
It's abysmal. I was in Cape Cod this weekend and it was just fucking monsooning. And I was walking on the beach and I was joking with my friend. I was like, it just has to be hard in New England, doesn't it? It just has to be as hard as possible. Otherwise, what's the point? And that's just what it is. It just makes everything impossible because New Englanders like to be tough. But, Cape Cod's also beautiful in the summer, but April didn't need 40 degrees and like violent rain
the whole month. Like You know, the whole month has been like that. It's been so weird. I'm glad there's some warmth.
But yes.
Shall we return to Thailand? I don't know. Should we go somewhere
Please. Yes. Let's get the hell out of Dodge. Yes, please.
Fabulous. We're not doing check-ins technically. We sort of kind of gave you a little bit of a check-in, but we're not doing official check-ins this time because we did it in the first half. So we shall enter now into our Thailand White Lotus return. Yes. Oh, we're therapists. We're not your therapist.
No.
That's it. That's all I'm saying. Because you know we're not their therapists because they don't exist. So
I love that. We are not your therapists and not these imaginary people's therapists. So we come back to our White Lotus soiree with Chelsea and Rick talking at breakfast. Rick is approached by his dad, who says, I knew your mom was a drunk and a slut, but I didn't know she was a liar too. She told you a fairy tale kid. Your father was no saint. You didn't miss out on much. And that's the fucking truth. Woof.
Because he doesn't know it's his dad yet. We all could tell, obviously, at this point, but he didn't know. It
was a Star Wars moment. And he shows Rick that he's packing a gun. So my goodness. And then Rick returns to Chelsea, stressed out, saying he's here. He just insulted my fucking mother. And then she says, forget about him, okay? You're free, remember? That was a horrible Chelsea. You're over it. And then he says, how can I get over everything he's taken from me? He took my whole fucking life. Oof. It's tough out here. And then she responds, stop worrying about the love you didn't get and think about the love you have. I love you and I'm right here. But he is right back into, I know, it's sweet. He is right back into suffering mode and Chelsea asks, please don't do something stupid. And then he says, I'm going to go see my lady, the Indian lady. I'll be okay, which was kind of sweet. Like he was very avoidant with her. I think we've all had those clients, right? And then all of a sudden, like they really need you. And he really did want to see her. And she had another person and couldn't have known what was coming.
I saw this great meme that said like the real villain and it was her face.
Poor thing.
I know, poor Amrita.
Yes.
I also noticed Chelsea.
Oh, go ahead.
No, that's what. Please, you do it.
Oh, yes. Chelsea takes her donut and follows after.
Which I didn't notice the first time. I thought that was so funny. She took the donut. She like made sure, because she asked him to go get a donut from the breakfast thing. She made sure to grab it on the way out.
She wanted her donut, which you gotta respect. Following your donut.
I do love a donut as well. Okay, fabulous. So then we are back to Lockie at the cabana of the Ratless, and he's alone still. He walks out to the pool. We see like images of like waves breaking on sand, because we know that's like what Mike White likes to do, is like waves crashing on rocks or on the sand. So he looks a little out of it. He eventually drops the glass completely. He's like sitting at the end, looking like he's gonna puke or pass out at the end of a like chaise lounge kind of thing, like the, you know, like sunning chairs. And Piper comes out. Oh no, first, okay. So this is also, I have a thing to tell you. Ooh. Piper comes in. She comes. So then we're like cut to like in the living room, right? So he's not alone. This is not when he's alone. We cut to like the living room, and Victoria's like running out, and she's like talking about going to breakfast. And then Piper comes in from like the other part of the cabana with Saxon, and she looks like totally fresh and clean. She's in a brand new dress. Her hair's like all like beautiful, wavy, you know, not at all like she has been the whole time. And it turns out that that's because there was a scene that was deleted from the night before that she had sex for the first time with Zion.
Whoa. Why'd they take that out? That would have been it. Oh man, I was coding her as queer though. I'm kind of bummed.
I know. TBH. That's why I was like, I can't really tell you. I was like, I want to tell you, but I'm not going to tell you because I'm saving it. But yeah, I mean, she could still be queer though, right? But she did finally lose her hetero. Yeah. She finally lost her hetero virginity. I also didn't like the plot line being that she was actually a virgin. Like I liked it more that they were just like being nosy about it, but she actually wasn't. But yeah, she definitely, apparently, Mike White says she was a virgin. And this is when she lost her virginity finally. She like reemerged a new woman, sort of. I know, it's kind of gross. Like, it's like old school. I actually hate that. Yeah. It's like old school imagery around like, you know, chaste versus like, you know, whatever. And this idea that like having sex when you finally, and then also just the idea, anyway, Zion like meets, I don't know. Meeting someone on a vacation and taking the virginity is a choice. So like that's a choice for Zion. And then did she tell Zion she was a virgin? And then did he, you know, like, so that's a whole complicated thing. But yeah, so then we don't even see them meet. now we don't even see them meet each other, let alone they have sex. So she does reemerge a whole new person. That's like the sort of like storyline for a lot of them. They leave a totally different person than they came to White Lotus. And so at the same time, she is coming out fresh and emerging, like whatever, fresh haired and new dressed. That Saxon is emerging with a book, which is the total opposite. He used to be the one making fun of people holding a book, but he's holding a book. She goes, "What are you reading?" And he hits her with it. So we're like, oh, we're still at the same thing though. Like they're still kind of the same, but at the same time, he's different because he's reading. He doesn't tell her what he's reading. They leave for breakfast. On the way out, Victoria's like, "Come on, Lockie," and then Saxon's like, "Let's go." And then Piper's like, "Well, we'll just meet you there." So like they don't actually check on him for real. He's like down there. You would think you'd notice that he wasn't like running to go with you because he's such a people pleaser, and he's sitting at the end of the chaise lounge, just totally not moving or looking at them or calling back or anything.
Wild, just
wild. They would not be worried about that for real. So then we skip to Belinda and Zion. They have gotten to almost the treatment room where Amrita is. And Belinda tells Zion the treatment room is by the Big Buddha. So that's all, by the way, another reference to religion, just even calling, like referring to the Big Buddha, which comes back into the scene soon. But he says to his mom, like, "Mom, breathe." You know, he's like, "You worked," you know, he's like, "We did that shit." And she's like, "We did that shit. You're right." Like, so they kind of giggle together. And then he's like, "And you work so hard. Good things happen to good people," which is like such a different thing than we're used to, right? Like usually it's like we all have to learn that good things happen to bad people or bad things happen to good people. Because the truth is good things have happened to bad people in this show. Greg, you know, absolutely, whatever. So that's not always the case. But Zion watches his mom go off sort of like longingly. It's sort of weird. It wasn't really like he just was like feeling happy for her, I guess, sort of. Watches her going off, and then Amrita comes around the corner. It's like, "Hi." Then Rick comes and tries to like, or sort of like interrupts a little bit. He's like, "I need to talk to you now, please." And she kind of repeatedly said like, "You're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. I'll come find you. I promise. Sit on the bench. Da, 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 da. It'll be 1 hour. I'll find you. Da, da, da." So, not great. He's then sitting on the bench all anxious like. Then we flip back to Lockie, who's been puking. We can tell. And he also pukes more. And then we watch him have sort of his last moments. So at this point, everyone's at breakfast except his dad, who's sleeping. We did hear Victoria say she was going to leave the dad there sleeping too, so we knew that. But we see like flash images. We see him like looking at the sky, which, by the way, also feels a spiritual thing, right? Because he ends up saying, "I saw God." Like, so he's looking at the sky where heaven would be if you believe in heaven, and he's like seeing that. So it's another spiritual moment. He's seeing the flash images of his loved ones, which is what they say happens, right? We tend to have like a quick, rapid succession of loved people in our lives flashing before our eyes when we are right before death. The other thing is we know like there's endogenous DMT in our brains. So we have like a type, so we have a type of hallucinogen in our brains already there that gets released when we die. So we also hallucinate. So those things all make sense because then he has this hallucination of being in the water, drowning and like sinking and not able to stop. And we sort of see him die underwater in his head, which is like to suggest he died in real life. And that's also why I was thinking the like ocean wave thing kind of was like prescient, that he was reading the book, The Wall of Ocean, because he also then like potentially kind of dies underwater in his head. So that's happening back at home. Then we see, the other thing before we leave that spot is that Tim wakes up, the dad wakes up, and he comes out and sees that Lockie's laying there seemingly dead. He notices the blender. He's like, "Fuck the blender. I didn't hide it last night again like I was supposed to." Then he notices Lockie laying down there dead at the, at the side of the pool, and he runs to him and he's sort of crying and says like, "No, no, 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 no." So there's that. Then we cut to the owners. Yeah. Say that again.
It was really intense. I was very nervous. It's kind of interesting how I think it's cool how Mike White made Lockie do something quite disgusting as a part of this show, what most people would find to be disgusting, and yet simultaneously makes him the most, in my opinion, or one of the most sympathetic characters on this season. And like I was really feeling for him. Yeah,
exactly. He's so empathetic and like sweet baby angel. He's like a sweet baby angel. Maybe that's also a part of why he sees God. It's a stretch. Okay. So then we cut to the owners arriving and to the down resort area where the treatment room is, because they go right near where Rick is sitting on the bench to take pictures with Jacqueline with her friends, sort of like at first it's with her friends and then they're on the side, but right near Rick waiting for Amrita. So we see him seeing them and looking sketchy about it, if you will. And then Belinda comes to break up with Ponchai, because that's the really sad fucking thing about that plot line, which is that Belinda does to Ponchai what Tanya did to Belinda, where she is like, okay, now I have all this money. I don't want to just do like a spa, or like I do want to do a spa maybe one day, but I don't want to like be tied down to that right now, or whatever it is, because she says to Ponchai, I really like you, but circumstances have changed. And she just kind of says it that a couple times, like, circumstances have changed. I'm sorry. That's just how it is. Very sad. And then she leaves. No, she's actually still with him when things pop off in a second. So never mind. She's with him talking about that. And then we cut to Chelsea. We see Chelsea kind of like walking around like, what's going on? She sees Rick, who has just stood up and had just seen, he just decided to go towards Jim Hollinger and the folks over there. And then she's like, wait, she like stops him, and he just keeps saying to her, get out of here, get out of here. And she's like, no, like, what are you doing? Like, get out of here. Is it okay if I finish this? This is quite a long one.
Oh yes, of course. Go for it.
Okay, well, maybe I will fine. Because,
and then
okay. Yeah, go ahead.
And then I can just do the rest or whatever, because then it's like, I think
the end works. Kind of. Okay, cool. Because the other thing too is that I did this, I watched the intro again. I watched the first episode again to see how it mapped on. Oh,
yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, that's amazing. Yes, please do this.
That's actually kind of cool. I like doing it. I watched it twice. It was a lot. I did a lot of, I was like very interested. I like wrote down everything. Okay. So Rick runs up to Jim. He takes Jim's gun out of his like holster on his side, and he shoots him. He basically says like, fuck you, and then shoots him with it right away. Even though Jim's like looking at him sort of like, what? And you're like, oh my God, obviously Jim wants to say something or whatever. So meanwhile, this is amazing. But like Lori in particular of the three women like books it right away because she's a New Yorker. She knows what to do.
Funny.
She knows how to get the fuck out of there.
Get the fuck out. Mm-hmm. It was particularly funny because they just had that very heartfelt moment. And she was like, deuces, which was just, I thought it was excellent.
It was amazing.
No notes.
You see her like literally like full-fledged running down the thing. And then like Jacqueline of the three too sort of like stays this extra second. And I was thinking that could almost be like, because she sees that kind of stuff in movies. Like, it's like she had like more of a tolerance for it. She was like, is this real? Is this happening?
What is reality? Oh, I like that take. That makes sense to me.
Could be. So then, of course, Jim's wife is like holding him and sort of like, why? She says, why? And of course, Rick says, he killed my father. She goes, he is your father. He told me he's your father, which we've mostly known. I don't know. Did you feel like that was an obvious plot line?
No, I felt so stupid.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
I was like, oh, that's his father. I know. I felt
I'm so sorry.
Silly.
Yeah.
No, you are fine.
I guessed it the moment he told the story. Like as soon as the first time he explains it, when he said, my dad came and my mom told me he came here and he killed this big guy. I was like, I bet the guy he thinks killed him is his dad. That was like my immediate, I said it out loud to my husband. I was like, I bet that's his dad. It's
that's
like kind
incredible.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people, well, at least I know like a couple podcasts have said like, of course he's his dad, but I don't know when they realized. I realized first, I guess maybe, but at least I definitely think it's like kind of a tired, like it's almost like it was almost maybe, I don't know, like I almost hoped I was wrong because it was so, to me it felt obvious because there's something about like when people are like, well, my mom told me this story, like there's always something about that, like there seems to always be like a twist to it because your mom is going to tell you what the fuck she thinks you need to know as a kid. She's not going to tell you the truth, so it's like always the case in my opinion. So maybe that's not great, but that's like how we do it. We tell our kids what they need to hear.
I think you nailed it. I totally like blew past that. I was more focused on like, oh man, this guy's just so fucking sad and can't let go. But like the actual content is like, totally. Yeah. I
was like, no, that's definitely his dad. And then as soon as he was white, I actually said like the day that we were going to meet him, I was like, I bet he's white. And then he's white. I was like, yeah, I bet it's his dad. Then it's gotta be, I have to be right. And then I was like, what if I'm not? Then I was like, oh, that'd be cool if I wasn't. Like, how cool would it be if he's white and still not? Like, they kind of let you think you're right and then pull out. But no, pull out. Ooh, pull it out. Pull the rug out from under you. Pull out.
He didn't work. Pull out, and that's how Rick was born.
Exactly. Rick, unfortunately, was the product of not pulling out. Exactly. Oh my goodness. But also, like, I don't like that Jim never tells him that. Like, I guess I kind of get it. Like, he doesn't want him to like miss. But then it's like, well, maybe he didn't miss out on anything back then when you were like that. But now you're like this. Like, why wouldn't you want to be a part of Rick's life and vice versa or whatever? So like, there was something that kept Rick from killing him. He pushed over the chair instead. So there's something, right? Like, I wish there had been more there to be had instead of him just telling him like your mom was a slut. Like, ew, rude. Excuse you.
Just say, he could have solved his own problem pretty easily. Like, there's not much harm in being like, I am your dad. Even if he said, I'm your dad, I don't want anything to do with you. It could have squashed the beef,
Big.
And that could have
gone. No one killed him. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no one would be dead. and you're still a shitty father. Like nothing, there's no real value subtract for you, except maybe he thought Rick would go after his money, but I don't know.
Right. Yeah. That's what's confusing, because it's like, because his main point was to get Rick to know he was a douche. He was like, your dad was a douche. You didn't miss anything. So if you want him to know his dad was a douche, be like, I'm your dad. I'm a douche. Like, done.
Yeah.
I don't want you here. Go bye.
You don't want to be around me. Trust me. Yeah. I'm a douche.
I don't want you. Exactly. We're good. We're good here. So he's like, we see Rick like looking at Jim dying and considering the full spectrum of what just happened. And then the bodyguard shoots at Rick and then runs off. And then Rick runs off and grabs Chelsea on his way. And then the shoot off sort of takes place. So they're like shooting at each other from next to like the gong. And then we see Guy Talk running to the scene. So like he hears gunshots. We see him hear gunshots and then grab the gun from the drawer and then run very quickly to the poolish area. It's not pool. It's like the watchers, lily pad, whatever. Mm-hmm. So he has more of a shoot off takes place with the bodyguards though, while Guy Talk is running. So Rick like shoots a bodyguard, they fall. Another one shoots at him. He shoots that bodyguard. That person dies. So then Rick kills the last one, but then he realizes that nothing's happening behind him suddenly anymore, and he turns around and Chelsea was hit and she's on the ground dying. It is horrifically sad. She's like looking at him concerned kind of in her eyes and like longing to not be dying essentially, and has like a single tear going down, and he starts crying and a lot. Here's my point about this. Remember how he said when they were at breakfast, how can I live my life knowing he did this? It was my whole life. So how can you live with what you did to Chelsea? Like what you did to Chelsea, you couldn't live with what Jim did to you, even though it wasn't Jim. You can't live with what Jim did to you, but it's even harder to live with something that you feel guilty for. Because he then goes on, he picks her up and he says, I'm sorry, we're going to be together forever, okay? Just like you said. Knowing that someone will probably shoot him, he starts walking, carrying Chelsea. And he's okay with getting shot and killed, holding her and like dying with her. So he basically learns that even though he felt like he couldn't live with what he thought happened to his dad, he really couldn't live with being the one who did the thing, who was the one who actually made the choice that ended up getting someone killed. So I liked that. I liked that part of it, sort of the contrast there, and that was too much. So
his whole narrative was around kind of being, I don't like saying the victim, but his whole narrative was around being someone who was wronged by his dad. That was a big central part of how he saw himself.
By the guy who killed his dad.
Yeah.
He thought.
And exactly. Yeah. So like being the one who inflicted harm on someone who loved him so deeply, even though he was kind of doing it to her all along, frankly, he was not very kind to her.
No. But then when he had like the weight lifted off, he was really cute with her. That was so sad.
For 20 whole minutes.
Yeah, it was a literal 20 minutes. Not even. Yeah, it's true. That's true. But it was so fucking cute though. I loved that. That was really sweet. But yeah, so exactly. It's like that's a whole other issue, you know. It's like he didn't embrace the love he had, as she said, like quite on the nose, as she said. But yeah. So then Guy Talk is kneeling behind Rick. He's walking away from Guy Talk. Ooh, that's not great. He sees him carrying Chelsea and he says, "Hey, stop." Meanwhile, Jim's wife, whose name I just did not write down, which sucks. I almost had it just there too. It just like came into my head and then went right back out. Mm-hmm. But she the owner, she's yelling to Guy Talk, shoot him, kill him. And Guy Talk's like thinking about not doing it because Guy Talk is Buddhist and so he doesn't believe in, harm and violence. But then he ends up shooting him twice in the back. Ooh, to go from like not hurting anyone to killing them without any sort of like defense. Ooh, that's not great. Mm-hmm. So then Rick falls in the water with Chelsea and they both die in the water. She's face down, he's face up, very much like the yin and yang, like sort of like yep. And there's actually a small smile on Rick's face, so it's almost like he's finally at peace at last, once in the water with her and dying and sort of floating with her. But yeah, I don't know. Tell me what you think about Guy Talk. I feel like Guy Talk going from like protecting his morals to like shooting someone in the back is like kind of like honorless and sad.
Is it a little disrespectful too to like his culture for Mike White to give that character that arc?
I like that.
I'm
not
sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's not great.
No,
it's not great.
Very, very not great. Very, very not great. I will say, just since we're on this too, that I watched this scene against the intro episode, the premiere, just to make sure, because there's like gunshots here, gunshots there. So I counted the number of gunshots, and I counted when they happened and how long there were breaks in between. And there's like a couple things. Yeah, it was very like, I was obsessive as well. But there were a couple things that were like, you just kind of can't tell because it's sort of like pop or whatever. And so like those things I'm not positive, but everything that I could tell what was happening, like for example, the same thing where the monkeys scatter on the wall, the same thing happens in both episodes. Like you see the monkey scatter twice. Yeah. So that's like your anchor for the 2 episodes to make sure that they're sort of aligned. And they were very aligned. They did a great job. It was pretty much on the money as far as I could tell.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. Which I do like that. Like you also see Amrita run out of the treatment room. In the premiere, you see her from her back. Like you watch her run out from Zion's perspective. And in the finale, you watch her from our perspective, like looking at the treatment center. So face on to her. Running. And then, okay, actually, I said I would come back to this, so I just want to make sure I mention this really quickly since I brought up the monkeys scattering on the wall. The other thing about the monkeys that I thought was interesting was that we saw them at the beginning, like they were like ominous, like they're going to kill people, like they're the problem because we know monkeys can be dangerous. And then they weren't. And so that was like an exact replica of like the Ratliff story about how like they kept almost killing people. We're gonna come back to about what happens with Lockie, but like Ratliff, the dad, Tim, keeps almost killing people, like, and then not killing them. So it's like the monkeys kind of like we're like almost like a parallel to that, where like we're supposed to think something dangerous is gonna happen and then it doesn't.
It's gonna be here, but it's not.
Yeah, misdirection.
Yeah, they did. And it is kind of, as we're talking about it, I'm like, this is kind of like a Greek tragedy. Like it really is. Like Mike White is going for it. He is going for those sorts of arcs and payoffs and it all works. Yeah. Reflecting on this season, I think I like it. Can I be honest with you? I don't know if I bought the Ratliffs.
Yeah. Like as people.
Yeah, Piper Posey, I know she's awesome. I don't know that I bought her character. Is
Which
that
part?
Weird?
No.
I don't know. So. The accent, the affect. Because I talked to Connor about it and he was like, he bought it. Something about it didn't work for me. And I'm not sure what that was for me.
She did remind me a lot of Miss Pat from Southern Charm. Like I did think that was like a pretty good, spot on, kind of like wasted, kind of like,
I think Miss Pat has a little more like pep in her step or charm or something. Something was missing for me there. I don't know what it was. I think I'm alone with this take. I don't think other people
I think I just can't portray Parker Posey. It's probably for me, I probably just couldn't say that, even if I agree, because I just love Parker Posey so much and I just have loved her forever. So I will love anything she does. She could be in a commercial. I'd be like, that's the best commercial there's ever been. So I'm broke. I'm not the one to ask. Yeah. I think you're probably not alone, though. I don't think everyone necessarily loved that character. I think I didn't buy that she didn't have her fucking lorazepam and didn't care suddenly. That didn't work for me. That was a non-resolution for sure. Like you're not just suddenly fine without your lorazepam and like never wonder who stole it. I don't know.
Yeah, that didn't work. To be honest, I didn't buy her. I didn't really buy her daughter, and I didn't really buy hubby. The 2 kids I bought for some reason.
Yeah. Lockie and Saxon made a lot of sense to me too. I think she made sense. I think Piper made sense. That's like such an American girl thing to do. I don't know. And Canadian, actually. There's a lot of Canadian girls that I knew who also did things like that. Like going to like Africa or something and being like, look, I'm going to like help everybody. And then it's like, well, I guess I can't live like this. Like, it's just like there's sort of that to me feels like very on point about what that can be like. It doesn't mean that I don't know how that particular character was written. I'm not sure that strikes me well. Yeah.
That's the part that was missing for me, because the actual like storyline, we've seen it a million times, that or the Peace Corps or whatever the fuck,
Yeah.
But something about her character just didn't like add up for me.
Yeah.
It felt empty.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's like maybe he shouldn't have touched the fucking virgin thing, because I don't think that did any favors at all.
No. It actually makes it worse. Like, that explains her lack of character or
like
personality. Yeah.
Right.
That's not cool.
Or uptightness. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry. I just diverted us, but let us go back to what we were talking about.
Fabulous. That's you now.
Oh, it's me. So Lockie's eyes open. And Tim is relieved, even laughing when Lockie says, I think I saw God. Do we think this is like a rebirth sort of shtick that is often the thing with water? Like that's what's happening, right?
Yeah, I think so. And also like the heaven thing with him like looking at the sky a lot. Yeah, I think so too. Continued
Do we
religious
think that
imagery.
do we think he's going to be less of a people pleaser? Is that kind of the takeaway or hope?
I don't know. That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah. We don't see any evidence either way about that, which is interesting.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You did mention the evidence of the last day that he was being a little more boundary pushing and less
Yeah, earlier
people
than this.
pleasing.
Yeah, he was way better earlier than this. Yeah.
So maybe he'll find a nice balance with that for himself or something.
One
Or
can
who
hope.
knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? So Lockie opened his eyes. Woof.
Yeah.
And then we see the raft lifts on the boat. So essentially, the one weird thing is what's his face? Saxton was really close to Chelsea. You would think maybe he'd be sad that she died. He didn't seem that sad.
Excellent.
I know he's a selfish. It's not my original point. I read it somewhere else, so I can't take the credit for that
It's
one.
a great point, though.
But
yeah.
it is interesting.
Yeah.
And because he really cared about her, apparently, more than he's really cared about anyone. So that
he
felt
teared
like
up.
a bit of a miss. And they finally get to look at their phones. And Tim said, things are about to change. We'll get through this as a family. We're a strong family, and there's nothing more important than family, right? And then Saxton looks at his phone and looks at Piper. And then
did you think they saw? Do you think they had seen it? Like it looked like Saxon in particular had read something and looked to Piper to be like, "Is this real or whatever?" But then Piper, I couldn't tell if she really read it, or I also couldn't really. Then I was like, maybe Saxon didn't even read it. He's just like worried to look, or like I don't know. Like, but you think he saw it? Do you think the point is that he saw it?
I think maybe a text or something, like your dad's fucked. Like something came in that made him be like, what the fuck? And then it was just probably like so much, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the choir music plays.
Yes. So I have so many feelings about that. Yeah. So there's choir music that plays. And there's two things. Like one is that Tim is looking at the water droplets like going up and down by the boat. And like because water's been such a theme, I was wondering like why, because he starts smiling. And I was thinking about like why, what is the message there with the water droplets? And I was thinking about how like what comes up must come down. Like there's sort of like that idea that might be what he was thinking with the droplets. Right? It's like a thing that happens. So we all go up and down in life, I reckon, which is true. But then the choir music was interesting because I at first didn't catch it, but it's Lo How Rose Are Blooming, which is a like really popular choir song because it's just like really beautiful and not like super religious, but it is technically Christian. So I thought that was interesting that they used that as the song to take us out on because of his spiritual focus and that he still kind of landed on Christianity as like the norm. I think that was a choice that was interesting. Yeah.
Do you think they were trying to say, like, even though they've had all these great experiences, they will return to their Judeo-Christian way of like being in the world?
Probably. Yeah, we're going back home. We're going back to Christianity.
And jail.
Yeah. Jail. Christian. We'll be going to Bible studies in jail soon.
Yes. Oh. He'll probably write a book in jail, as you know, as one does if they're that type of person. Right. How to get back up there or whatever the fuck.
What comes down must come up.
Yes, that's right. And then we have the three friends. Lori and Kate are comforting Jackie. So
I have a thought about that too. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Finish your thought. Finish your sentence first.
Yeah. So she's the one going back to a mess at home.
Which is another switch in roles. Like, so if you think about like, so Saxon and Piper swap, like he's now the one reading and she's the one who's like sort of like sexually awakened. We don't even know that technically, but that's the idea. And then the other switch in roles is with like Lori versus Jack. So like now Lori is the one saying, if you watch, I was lip reading, so I could be wrong, but it looked like what Lori was saying to Jacqueline was, "You're so strong, he's so stupid." It's like what I think I saw her saying. So it's sort of like now we're switching those roles too, where Jacqueline was the one coming in like all popular, famous one, and then she's leaving very upset and like in a mess. So I think that was an interesting another like, because I was sort of like, what is the point of this? Why are we seeing her being upset? Like, what the fuck? But I think that's another sort of like role reversal.
I like that. And they're kind of coming in to comfort her because they are lifelong friends and they do ultimately care about each other.
Yeah. Aww. Yeah, exactly. And it seemed more authentic than however they were on the way in because now they've had that breakthrough they had last night at dinner.
Yeah. Oh, that was lovely. And then we end on our boy Greg. Well, he's not really our boy. He's someone's boy. He's watching his honey, his lady, find a dude for his sexual fantasy. because he likes to watch people have sex because of something with his mom and dad when he was a kid. So they're again going back to incest was another theme of this season.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah.
It seems like maybe you were suspicious of this. What I want to hear more.
I was just so suspicious of this a while ago. Like, I didn't believe it. Like, I thought he was trying to get her to do that so that he could get mad at her for doing it or something. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then when it turned out they were doing it, I was like, is it still that? Or is it that now that like he really does actually want her to do this thing? Because it kind of seems more like now he really does want her to do that thing, maybe. I don't know. He like winked at her, but he still looked like all knowing in some way. So I don't know. I could still see it being something suspicious, frankly, but it seems more real now. Like it seemed like that actually was the thing. That's a good point about incest too. Like, isn't incest like a problem because of Christianity? Is that what it was that like made it? Not that I think that, but isn't that it? Isn't that why?
I'm not really sure where the incest. Yeah, because didn't people used to be into that because they wanted to pass on their own genes or some shit?
There it is, exactly. So I wonder if Christianity is where the incest started getting put down. So then that would make it an interesting theme to pull in.
I guess I'm wondering if he's trying to bring in an Eastern culture. If that's where he's going with that, that's kind of another weird place to take.
He said he was careful to say like spirituality broad. So like there's a lot of Christianity in this. Like it's not all Buddhism. Yeah. There's like a lot of it. Actually, I in some ways almost feel like there's more. If there weren't like Buddhas everywhere or something, you know what I mean? Like and monks, like I would say there's even more. Like, it comes up all the time. And like the choir music and the, it's like people, God, heaven, da-da-da. So I almost feel like it would still, if he's talking about spirituality at large, which includes atheism and other things that came up, like the thing about the groups and stuff, there's different types of spirituality he brings in, then I think he could still be saying that like it's related to religion, even if it's not necessarily Christianity or even if it is Christianity, that incest was like put out by, as a problem, which it should, I guess, should be. I don't know. I mean, I don't know, right? Should we have that? I don't know. It's like, where does that come from? Like, not that I would think, I don't know. Why do I think anything about it, frankly? Like, whatever.
I think isn't there like a genuine genetic issue that can happen for people?
But who cares if you're not having babies,
Yeah. A hand job is pretty harmless.
Pretty fucking harmless.
Not really hurting anyone. Mm-mm. But it's something about it does feel like, whoa, what the hell are you doing to your brother?
Because of morals. Because of our morals, religious morals. Which is like same thing with swearing and everything else,
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of ways that this can fucking go,
Yep. Sex in general. We have a hard time talking about sex, a hard time being naked. All of that is religion.
And maybe that's what he's just poking at because he knows now that his show is incredibly zeitgeisty. So maybe he's like, I'm going to make some people really uncomfortable and have some uncomfortable think pieces and conversations. And you know what? He succeeded.
Yep, he sure did. And if anyone came out at him like, that's so inappropriate, how could you dare to do that? He could be like, the only reason we think that's a problem is because of religion. So like, what an interesting thing,
Huh. Mike White, keeping us guessing. I still very much enjoyed this season. I know it's getting slightly lower reviews, but I think that's just the thing that happens. Like I feel like when a show has been so successful, people like to start hating on it or questioning it. It's like the cool thing to do. I still think this is top-notch television, and I would rather watch this than most shows.
Yeah, and it's still getting talked about everywhere. It's on SNL, it's on every sort of thing, like everybody's talking about it. So it's still successful in that way.
Exactly. Well, it was lovely to talk to you about this. Do you have any final White Lotus thoughts?
Still a few more things. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Someone didn't scroll far enough. My bad.
That's okay.
Oh, there's a lot of things. We see the Russians with 3 new girls. So seemingly this is kind of a pattern for them where they work to try to kind of acquire funds from some rich young women.
Good things happening to bad people.
Yeah, we see Sam Rockwell / Frank back at the monastery, which I liked and also didn't like because I was happy for his character. And I felt like what Rick did to him and put him through out of his selfishness, it was a little too tidy of a cleanup that, he's just going to go right back to fucking the monastery after all that. I was happy for him, and it didn't ring very true to me.
Totally agree.
Yeah. God, I keep seeing memes of him when he was in his like fucking leopard like banana hammock and was like running down the hallway and then rolled over the couch. It was so funny.
And he's so cute. He's such a cute guy too. I love it. That's great.
That performance was a delight.
Fantastic.
And then Guy Talk hugs Mook and gets in front of the owner's car and drives her off. The bodyguards all died in the fight. So it was a pretty serious fight.
Yes. Well, yeah, it's like that's why he gets to be the bodyguard. I was like, that's a little much. I was like, oh yeah, because everyone's died. I was like, never mind, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. And he got a promotion by proxy.
Yes.
We see Rick and Chelsea's bodies brought out in body bags. Y'all, this was heartbreaking, actually. Like, this was hard. It's when I think of this season, that's the imagery that actually sticks with me is the two of them, because it is so damn tragic.
I know. That is so sad. Yeah. So I was thinking about, like, for one thing was that, like, Belinda said not in a body bag or whatever, and he's like, Mom, or whatever. So, like, that was like a funny and like prescient. Like, you're supposed to wonder if that's gonna mean that Belinda's gonna die, and she didn't. It turned out it was Rick and Chelsea in body bags. But then the other thing I was thinking about was like, how come the bodyguards who had all died weren't in body bags? And then I realized that it's because they were going to a plane. So they were bringing them on the plane. So that's why the bodyguards weren't going, because they lived there. So they would not be going on a plane. That was it.
Yeah, that's a good point. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. Why would they get on a plane?
They would not. Exactly.
And then the last thing is Belinda looks longingly back at Ponchai, as does he. He's sad. And Belinda and Zion drive off on the boat, and they are rich.
Yep. They're rich.
And that's
moneymakers.
Yeah, they're rich. So we get one happy ending or W in this big stream of sadness and shit showery. I'm happy for Belinda, and I'm excited to see, frankly, where the show goes next.
Me too.
What do you think? Do you think Greg will continue to be followed? Like, who's going to be the through line? Belinda? Someone
I think
else?
It has to be Belinda, because Belinda's the only one who's on the move. Like, I think we have to follow her go somewhere. Follow her as she goes somewhere. And I think also she's been like a really big highlight of the show for everybody. And she's a woman of color. And I think that's been important for people of color who are watching the show. And I think that's, she would be a really good one to watch. The other thing is, like, he started the show following Tanya, who's a middle-aged woman. So he's doing something with middle-aged women. So, it could be, I think it'd probably be Belinda. And also Zion's a great new character. I like Zion a lot. He didn't get a lot of screen time. So, I think that's we'll probably follow Belinda. I think also the point of the show is so much of it is like challenging liberalism and capitalism. And like the point of Belinda's story is that capitalism, like money pollutes, like it polluted her. Like she did to Ponchai what Tanya did to her, and she didn't understand why Tanya did to her, but now she gets it because she did it to him. And it's like ultimately like money makes you want to go use the money and like be happy and free for a bit, which I think anybody would want to do. I would too. But ultimately it means like letting go of your dreams, right? Like in a short term at least. So yeah, it's an interesting plot line, but it means that we'd want to follow her of all people,
I hope we do.
Yeah.
I think that would be a great place to take it.
Me too. So
and
now
we're actually done.
Yes, exactly. We finished the finale, and next week we will actually be doing the top 5 from the whole season. So we'll get to like sort of think summatively about the whole season at large.
So excited.
We'll both have our own top 5, and we won't tell each other what it is.
Ooh, I'm so excited. That will be quite the adventure.
Exactly that. So check us out on patreon.com/realitytest, or go into the search bar and do @realitytest. We're on Instagram at Dr. Kpods and at Dr. Raypods. We're on TikTok at Dr. Realitv. We're also on the YouTube, my God, YouTube and Facebook. It's a little dated. Facebook at Reality Test Pod. At Reality Test Pod is our channel as well on YouTube. And then our email is gmail.com, but realitycheckpodding, PODDING for our email.
And make sure to rate, review, and subscribe, and tell all your friends about us.
Yes, please. Thank you so much. And we'll see you next session. Bye, friends.
Yeah. Bye.